Hi friends. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we will take a look at the secret projects of the Nazis. Please don't forget to subscribe to support my channel. Einstein's anti-gravity. During the course of researching his best-selling book, The Hunt for Zero Point, Nick Cook stumbled upon World War II-era evidence for a secret Nazi weapon that came to be known as the Nazi Bell device. This device was constructed by a scientific team reporting to SS General Hans Kammler under a veil of secrecy deeper than even that of the Nazi nuclear research. While Cook's research yielded little information about the specific design or application of the Nazi Bell device, his sources indicated that it apparently was able to create a variety of startling effects on nearby objects. It has been speculated that the Bell device was designed to use high-speed, counter-rotating components filled with specialized materials and energized by electromagnetic energy to induce torsion effects and thus control gravity and other significant effects. John Daring, a physicist specializing in advanced directed energy, nonlinear electrodynamics, and new energy sources, has further reported on a Rhine Valley facility and device. He believes this to have been an actual wartime prototype deployment of a successor to the Nazi Bell experiments, which were carried out in the Wenceslas Mine Research Lab in occupied Poland. While the Bell experiment was focused on developing a radical new propulsion technology, the little-known Rhine Valley experiment may have been a last-ditch attempt to weaponize the Bell's dangerous side effect for use against Allied forces. Daring speculates that the German World War II research was intended to create a powerful propulsion effect by engineering application of Einstein's unified field theory (UFT) equations. Within the 1929 version of the Einstein UFT equations, a linkage is found between the vector magnetic potential and torsion. Put simply, in the unified field theory, the effects of curved spacetime, resulting from a massive body, like the Earth, can locally offset by creating torsion. Thus electromagnetic interactions are harnessed to induce torsion, which in turn can then null out gravitation. This astounding possibility for gravity control is not predicted in either the special or general relativity theories and appears only in the unified field equations. Thus, a sort of counteraction to gravity or anti-gravity field would be the result. The heavy-duty concrete construction of the test rig at the Wenceslas mine, complete with heavy steel mounting rings, bears witness to the massive scale of the forces that the research produced. While the full purpose and results of neither experiment is completely known, it is obvious that Nazi Bell possessed a great deal of value in terms of secret weapons. With a range of choices at his disposal at the end of World War II, Hans Kammler considered only the Nazi Bell experiment as being valuable enough to save Germany from the encroaching Allied and Russian forces. The Bell project, whatever its full purpose, was the only research program in Nazi Germany to carry the designation, war decisive. Not even the German atomic bomb or rocket programs were considered of such importance. Historically speaking, the Germans' motive for developing the Nazi Bell device seems apparent. Hitler's Third Reich had an almost borderline obsession with secret, wonder, and uber weapons that they felt would give them an advantage against the Allies. The wild success of the V-2 rocket program had emboldened them to undertake the development of even more esoteric weapons projects such as the world's first jet fighter, the Me-262, and a series of jet-powered Coanda effect UFO prototypes, radical disc-shaped VTOL aircraft designs that proved ultimately unsuccessful. The most notable of these was a design by Andreas Epp, which became an inspiration for the later Avro car experiments of the 1950s. Neither the Me-262 nor the Coanda effect disc devices were ready in time for use against the Allies but nonetheless received the backing of the Third Reich, which supplied them with trained scientists, materials, research funding, and a nearly endless supply of slave labor with which to build the projects. It's not known where the true inspiration for the Nazi Bell device and prior Rhine Valley experiments originated. but it's possible to speculate that they were trying to leap to a completely electromagnetic propulsion system after realizing the limited potential in controllability and speed from their experimentation with the Coanda effect saucer technology. Perhaps some of the more forward-thinking physicists had the ear of Hans Kammler and suggested to him that the time was right to evolve to a technology so far ahead of aerodynamic propulsion of the day that it would give Germany absolute supremacy in the air. Darker possibilities exist, given that the Bell device researchers appeared very interested in the dangerous and lethal side effects created by exposure to the Bell force field. Assuming that the Nazis had decided on a nearly fictional approach to directly interacting with gravity through electromagnetism, the next logical step that they would have taken is to find a scientific basis to work from. As scientists, Kammler's team would have quickly realized that this scientific support wouldn't have come from either relativity theory or quantum mechanics. But they wouldn't have had to search very far, as the Germans had already reviewed just such a theory to unify electromagnetism and gravitational forces. On 14 June 1928, a paper was published in German that would have certainly attracted the attention of anyone looking for a quick and easy way to convert from electricity to gravitational force. The English translation of the title is "New Possibility for a Unified Field Theory of Gravitation and Electricity." It contains the beginnings of what later became known as torsion theory. Despite the Nazi dislike for Jewish science and culture, this paper was written by a physicist too renowned to be ignored. Quite possibly the world's greatest physicist, Albert Einstein. Starting in the early 1920s, Einstein and others began to speculate that general relativity, which describes gravitation and spacetime, could be modified to include the laws of Maxwell that describe electromagnetism. In essence, Einstein sought to show that the laws of electricity and magnetism could be unified with the laws of gravitation. In other words, such a theory would imply that all electrical and magnetic effects and all gravity effects are manifestations of an underlying, unified field. By the late 1920s, Einstein's papers in unified field theory began to be read by physicists interested in exploring experimental verification of his theories. John Daring has suggested that in addition to a general familiarity with Einstein's unified field theory from written publications, the Nazis may have in fact had inside information on the subject. Supposedly, Gerlach had discussed the foundations of this new unified field theory at length with Einstein while the theory was being formulated, and had also collaborated with Einstein during the 1920s on a search for experimental verification. As history tells us, Gerlach was later appointed to the position of plenipotentiary for Nazi fission research in 1944 by the Reich Research Council, giving him top-level scientific connections throughout Germany's cutting-edge research programs. Nick Cook has also highlighted Gerlach's connection to the Nazi Bell project through the testimony of defense journalist Igor Witkowski, who claims to have been shown documents identifying Gerlach's involvement in the project. Thus, with the driving goal of building an electromagnetically powered UFO to replace the less-than-spectacular performance of the Coanda effect flying discs, Kammler's scientific team would have already been familiar with Einstein's work in gravity and would have had a real basis from the published UFT tensor equations to begin rapid experimentation with a new technology for 1940s-era anti-gravity.